Good. And now I would like to introduce our second speaker, Kris Pool, to be evaluated by Tracy Rothman. Tracy is going to make the initial introduction as her evaluator, and I will then make an introduction as the Toastmaster. Tracy?
Thank you, Amy. Kris is working from the Dynamic Leadership Path, giving the Level 2 Understanding Your Leadership Style presentation. The purpose of this project is for Kris to identify her primary leadership style by responding to a questionnaire within the module and then share some aspect of this leadership or discuss leadership styles in general. Kris has asked for an adjusted time of 8 to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Our next Vice President of Education is moving right along in her various paths and levels. And tonight, Kris Pool will be sharing insights into her leadership style. Each club officer role, district officer role, team member role requires a different leadership style. And sometimes a person needs to adjust according to the situation. Let's welcome Kris Pool. We three, Jack, James, and me. We three, Jack, James, and me, Kris Pool.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, guests and members of Cream City Communicators. I love this quote that I found. The leadership is not domination, but the art of persuading people to work towards a common goal. Sometimes I feel like I am dominating people, but not always. It's a lesson learned. We three, Jack, James, and me. And I'll talk about Jack and James and me and why we three are a very compatible set of three. Remember, triads come in three. As I was preparing to undertake this Understanding Your Leadership Style, in case if you have not done this yet, you get to take a test, a questionnaire, quiz, whatever you'd like to call it. Luckily, it's nothing you actually have to spend time studying in advance, but you do have to take an objective look inside who you are. You answer a variety of questions, and then based on your answers, Toastmasters ranks your level of leadership in 8 different categories. Once you receive your answers, you can begin reading through the details of each style and how you can work with others that have same or different leadership styles. You get an understanding of how different people work based on their leadership style. As you read through this information, you will gain quite a few new insights. And if you take the test again, so for me, I think this is about the 5th time that I've taken this because of the multiple paths I've chosen. Every time I take the test, I have a new dominant style. It comes out because of where I am in my career, where I am in Toastmasters. Going beyond just the Toastmasters descriptions of these leadership styles, I had to be me and start doing a little bit more research. And I found Daniel Goleman's Primal Leadership, Realizing the Power of Emotional Intelligence. This book came up frequently throughout my research. Although Mr. Goleman only lists 6 categories of leadership versus the Toastmasters 8, you'll see that 5 from both lists are the same. The ones that I have highlighted are different from the Toastmasters versus Daniel Goleman's list. And no, I am not going to go into the specifics on each of these leadership styles. That's for you to do when you get to this project yourself. But I want to focus on my leadership style from when I took this little questionnaire back on June 6, 2023. Pace setting. This was my leadership style, #1 out of the 8. And it makes sense once I started learning more about this particular leadership style, why I answered the questions that I did. I had just finished the debrief meeting from our 2023 spring conference for District 35. I was the spring conference chair. I had a set project, I had deadlines, I had a team to work with. And my answers and my leadership style were based on my experience with that conference. Different experiences, results, and feedback. It will help you determine if your leadership style is effective or if you need to adjust and adapt your style to be more beneficial overall. For me, my leadership style is very different from when I'm holding a leadership role of a club treasurer, VP of education, even a club president. This coming year is going to be very different and unusual for me. I am the vice president of education of 3 clubs, plus all my other stuff. I will be adjusting my style quite a bit throughout the year, starting tomorrow night with a scheduled 30-minute meeting to find out goals of one particular member. It's 30 minutes, but it'll take about 3 hours for him to figure out how to log into his Toastmasters account. I will be practicing lots of patience this coming year. When you're looking at any of the leadership styles, you get a definition. And with pace setting, this is the type of leader or leadership style that expects to lead a team with the new projects and they want to move with speed. Those of you who know me know that is part of my style. I want to focus on that productivity and I want to motivate my team members by setting a high standard of performance. And then I also want to lead by example. I don't always think that it's necessary to communicate a lot of detailed instructions. And this type of style, it can actually be ineffective if it's used over a long period of time. I basically had a 6-month time frame. We were moving along for the plans for our conference. So it was an effective use for me during this time frame. And it's also very effective when the team members are also self-motivated and highly skilled. There are 5 prevailing characteristics of the pace-setting leadership style. #1 is focused on pace. Again, we want to move along, we want to move quickly to achieve the optimum efficiency and the results within a definite time frame. And during that time frame, I want to strive for excellence, and I expect the same from everyone on my team around me. Second characteristic is setting the example. I feel that I put myself in various positions, take on projects where I know that I am highly efficient and highly skilled. And from that, because I know who I am, my team members will see that I do what I do, but then they can follow that. I'm setting the example for what I want from them. Third characteristic, taking initiative. As a pace setter, I am not afraid to take charge or put forward an initiative. I think that's part of why I really accepted this role, embraced the role of the spring conference chair. I had lofty goals. I had expectations from my team and from myself. And you definitely need to be energetic and enthusiastic in order to achieve your goals. I think I have that. The fourth characteristic is self-motivation. You have to have that unwavering confidence and motivation in your leader to help drive your members, to help them maintain that attitude, to want to be optimistic, to help them motivate their self. And the fifth characteristic is transparent expectations. The pace setter, we start out, we do not want to micromanage everything in order to reach that goal. We want to set the example and create that expectation, and we want the team members to uphold it. As that leader, I need to be aware of my team's skills and their level of expertise so that even if the goals seem lofty to them, I can help them, show them how it's done, set that example, but they know what those expectations are. Of course, any leadership style, you have those pros and you have cons, and you have to be able to go in and out between them, see what is going to be best for your team. Advantages of pace setting is growth, clarity, and a high performance environment. The pace setting leadership, this is that focus on productivity, and it's almost that competitive drive for achievement. It's about rapid growth between the team members, and it's that zeal, that want, that desire to achieve quality and results. Clarity. This is where we outline the goal and the deadline that everyone needs to follow. And then high performance environment. This is where we want to make sure that we fulfill that goal in the given time frame so that everyone, we can combine and just create that indomitable team. We are working together. Of course, we have our disadvantages. Maintaining this pace can be exhausting. You can't keep it up for a very long period of time. So we always have to be aware of what's going on. Do we need to pay attention as the leader for signs that our team members, they may adumbrate their feelings to constantly feel exhausted and maybe even give up? Possibility of micromanagement. I know I started out before that we don't want to be those micromanagers. Sometimes though, if we're not getting the results that we want, we step in, we take over, and we start being that micromanager. And then the low level of job satisfaction. This is where you kind of have that opposite feeling. You, instead of keeping everyone high, that high attitude, it's falling down. They start to feel incompetent and demotivated, and that lowers their level of job satisfaction. You need to weigh those pros and cons. As I was researching this pace-setting leadership style, I came across two individuals that you've all probably heard of in some way, shape, or form, and it helps with my speech title, We Three, Jack, James, and Me. Jack Welch, he's an amazing example of the pace-setting style of leadership. He had a remarkable contribution in making GE, General Electric, successful from 1981 to 2001. And while excellence as a businessman is well celebrated, he was also criticized for his lack of empathy. And it was probably this pace-setting mindset that he had that was responsible for this acclaimed controversy. The second in We Three, and I know that I'm at time, but I'm still going. The second in We Three is James Cameron. James Cameron, he's the director of Titanic and Avatar. He is a pace-setting leader. When he started making documentaries about the deep ocean, he found out the importance of leadership, and he constantly pushed his team and a crew through challenges and hardships. He actually did a TED Talk where he talked about his leadership style as being pace setter. And that brings the We Three to me. I adapted the quote from James Cameron to be just a little bit more fitting. Kris Pool doesn't do what Kris Pool does for Kris Pool. Kris Pool does what Kris Pool does because Kris Pool is Kris Pool. I do what I am because that's who I am. And one lesson that I've learned, especially over these last 6-7 months, this is hard for me to say, but I have to stop expecting me from other people. Stop expecting you from other people. Let each person on your team shine with their skill set, help them grow into their potential, and adjust your leadership style as needed along the way. This is Kris Pool, your pace-setting leader, at least for one more day. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. And if anyone is interested, I can drop my sources into the chat for you, and you can go read some of the articles and watch the videos. Thank you, Amy.